Good morning to the ladies and gentlemen of Congress. Today I'll be advocating for something that is very near and dear to me, and that is universal health care. Universal health care is something that America should adopt because health care is not affordable for many Americans, including the middle and lower class. This hits close to home to me because most of my home state of Iowa are farmers, which are predominantly in the lower middle class. Today I'll go over 3 points on why I believe that universal health care should be adopted in America. My first point is that Americans should not have to choose between life-saving treatment and going into crippling debt. My second point will be examples of many countries that have gone into a universal healthcare system and done it successfully. My third point will be the economic impact that universal healthcare would have. For my first point, I'll start off with an example from NBC News that consists of little Shayla. Shayla has an eye disorder that would make her go permanently blind in one eye if she were to not get essential surgery. Her family is in poverty, though, and could not afford the $10,000 that it would cost to have the surgery. So they ended up turning to a crowdfunding website, GoFundMe. Unfortunately, they only raised $1,600, which they ended up getting the surgery, but now they are in a lot of debt that could have been avoided if universal health care was an option in America. In a report from USA Today, America is facing $81 billion in medical debt. In another report from The Guardian, it shows that 25% of Americans are putting off medical treatment because they cannot afford it, which could cause preventable deaths that are just not worth the money. You might be wondering to yourself, well, why doesn't health insurance cover it? Well, that's because 8.7% of Americans don't have health insurance. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but then if you look at the numbers, it actually shows that that's 27 million Americans. Moving on to my second point. A country that has adopted universal health care that has done it quite successfully, I might add, is Canada. In Canada, 87% of its citizens actually support their universal health care system. And in America, our healthcare system only has a 45% approval rating. And if you see from the graphic in the middle of your screen, it shows that 45% of America thinks that the government should not be in control of our healthcare system, and 54% do. Someone who would oppose my opinion would probably tell you that there are waiting lines that universal healthcare would cause. While this is kind of true, it would just be for non-essential surgeries like knee replacements and acupuncture. But the essential surgeries like brain surgery and heart surgery are always given first priority. Another point that someone would make if they oppose my opinion would say taxes would just increase too much and it is too expensive. They would only probably look at Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All universal health care plan. This, in fact, is the most generous health care plan of anywhere in the world. Moving on. The average middle-class American's taxes is 27% of income, while the Canadians' upper-class average taxes is 33%. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, recently has just lowered the middle-class tax rate to 22%, and yet they still have an effective universal health care plan. Now, moving on to my third point, I'll be talking about the economic impact that universal health care would have on America. You might not think it's true, but yes, this would actually increase wages for most small businesses, considering that it would take the burden of all the small businesses having to pick a healthcare plan to provide for their workers. So without that burden, they could spend more money on essential salaries or repairs for their businesses. In conclusion, I think that universal healthcare is a good option for America, and I will recap 3 points why. It's because Americans should not have to choose between having life-saving surgery and going into crippling debt. There's also many other countries that shows us that universal health care is possible and is successful. And finally, the economic impact that universal health care would have on our economy is pretty much positive. I hope you have seen today that America cannot continue the way it is right now, and I hope you vote yes for universal health care.